The story begins with a kite soaring freely over a bustling city, drifting wherever the wind takes it. In this city lives a bright and curious 8-year-old girl named So-won. Despite her young age, she is remarkably intelligent. Every day she walks to school with her best friend, Jung-sook. One morning, So-won asks her mom to tie her hair as she gets ready for school. Her mom is very busy with her job and household chores. She does not have time to help So-won. Her dad notices this and decides to tie her hair instead. So-won gets ready to leave for school, but it starts raining outside. Her mom asks if she should drop her off at school. So-won knows how busy her mom is, so she says she will run and reach school in 3 minutes. Her mom tells her to take the main route because it is safer. So-won leaves for school, but her friends have already reached before her. While she is walking towards the school, a man watches her from a distance. In the next scene, the kite that was flying freely at the beginning of the story is now lying on the wet road. The man picks up the kite and approaches So-won. He compliments her umbrella, saying it is very beautiful, and asks if she would like to share it with him. So-won politely declines, saying she is late for school. She turns around and sees that the school is just a short distance away, but the heavy rain has left the area outside the school empty. In the next scene, chaos unfolds. So-won's umbrella is completely broken. Her bag, shoes, and belongings are scattered in a deserted place. She is there too, injured and trembling. Summoning her last bit of strength, she uses her phone to call for help. Moments later, an ambulance arrives and rushes her to the hospital. When So-won's mother arrives at the hospital, she breaks down completely upon seeing her daughter's condition. So-won's body is covered in wounds, a testament to the brutality she endured. The man had not only assaulted her but had beaten her to the brink of death, yet by some miracle, So-won is still alive. The doctors inform her parents that surgery is necessary to save her life. After the operation, they explain the extent of the damage. To keep So-won alive, they had to remove large portions of her intestines and anus, replacing them with an artificial anus. They also fitted her with an ostomy bag, which would now manage her waist. The doctors deliver the heartbreaking news that So-won will have to live with this condition for the rest of her life. The weight of the tragedy bears down on her parents, leaving them to grapple with their grief and the long road ahead. When So-won finally regains consciousness, her father rushes to her side. She looks at him and asks if he didn't go to work today. Hearing her question, he is filled with guilt, feeling that he failed to be there for her. So-won, with a weak voice, asks him to catch the man who hurt her, telling him that the man wore pants with many pockets. So-won's dad tells her to rest, but she insists that she is feeling very sleepy. She worries that if she falls asleep, she will forget everything that happened. Deep down, So-won desperately wants the man to be caught, no matter what. Though she is only 8 years old, her wisdom far surpasses her age. A few moments later, she drifts off to sleep. Her father, fighting his own emotions, struggles to hold himself together as he quietly steps out of her room. Outside So-won's cabin, her parents are informed that the police have identified the man responsible for their daughter's suffering. So-won's father rushes to the police station, eager to take action. However, the police officer tells him that they lack the necessary evidence to arrest the man and need So-won's statement to proceed. When So-won's father shares this with his wife, she becomes furious. She doesn't want their daughter to relive the trauma by recalling the horrific event, and a heated argument ensues between them. It is clear that both of them are emotionally shattered, struggling to cope with the horror their daughter has faced. In the midst of their turmoil, a police officer approaches So-won's father and suggests that he go home to gather all of So-won's toys and bring them to the hospital. So-won's father is taken aback by this request. The officer explains that a female psychiatrist assigned to So-won has asked for it. Confused but willing to do whatever it takes, So-won's father goes home. There, he finds So-won's favorite toy, Kokomong, and carefully takes it with him to the hospital, hoping it will help his daughter in some way. At the hospital, a psychiatrist arrives to begin So-won's treatment. The female psychiatrist starts by playing with So-won, trying to build a bond of trust with her. She gives So-won her favorite toy, which brings a small smile to the girl's face. Gradually, So-won's behavior begins to return to normal. Once So-won feels more comfortable, the psychiatrist gently starts asking her questions. The entire session is recorded by the police officers present. The psychiatrist shows So-won photos of various people, one by one. When So-won sees the photo of the man who caused her pain, she immediately closes her eyes. The psychiatrist understands that this must be the culprit. To confirm, So-won is then shown a group of smaller photos and asked to identify the man. With great difficulty and trembling hands, So-won slowly lifts her finger and points at the monster who destroyed her life. With So-won's identification, the police finally have enough evidence to arrest the man responsible. Before leaving, the psychiatrist speaks with So-won's father. She explains that So-won needs time and support to heal both physically and mentally, and that her recovery will not be possible without the involvement of her family. Handing him her visiting card, she assures him that they can contact her anytime for help. However, So-won's mother overhears this conversation. Consumed by anger and frustration, she snatches the card and returns it to the psychiatrist, refusing any help. Meanwhile, the police successfully capture the rapist, and the news quickly spreads to the media. Reporters swarm the hospital to cover the incident. When So-won's father learns about this, he rushes to the hospital, determined to protect his daughter from the media frenzy. He knows how the press will sensationalize the tragedy, which could cause more harm to So-won. As the hospital staff prepares to shift So-won to another room, the reporters also follow. Realizing the situation is spiraling out of control, So-won's father lifts her onto his shoulders and carries her to a secluded room on the top floor. Meanwhile, So-won is overcome with fear and anxiety. She looks at her father with teary eyes and asks if she has done something wrong. He gently reassures her that she has done nothing wrong and tries to calm her down. As he comforts her, the bag attached to So-won to collect her waste suddenly bursts, spilling its contents onto the bed. Her father quickly moves to clean up and replace the bag. When he opens her clothes to fix it, So-won suddenly gets a severe attack of post-traumatic stress disorder. The horrific memories of the assault flood her mind, and she becomes completely restless. At first, her father is confused and unable to understand what is happening, but as realization dawns, he steps back, trembling with sorrow. His heart breaks into pieces, knowing the scars left by that monster are far deeper than he could ever imagine. In the evening, when So-won's father visits her room again, she quickly covers herself with a cloth upon seeing him. Her reaction stops him in his tracks, but he gently tells her that her mom is unwell and won't be able to visit her for some time. He adds that she will soon have a little brother. So-won stays silent and doesn't respond to his words. Her father realizes that the incident from the morning has caused her to fear him as well. The thought breaks his heart, but he tries to hide his pain. He softly tells So-won that she doesn't need to hide her face from him. Without waiting for a reply, he quietly leaves the room. The hospital bills start piling up, and So-won's father finds himself struggling to pay them. Desperate for help, he calls a close friend who works with him. This friend has supported him in the past and doesn't hesitate to step in again. His friend reassures and tells him not to worry about his job and that he will handle everything at work until things get better. A few days later, the court hearing for the man who assaulted So-won takes place. When questioned, the man denies all the accusations. He claims that he works at a construction site and had been working there all night on the day of the incident. He further states that after returning home in the morning, he drank alcohol and went to sleep, insisting he knows nothing about what happened. However, the police present strong evidence against him. They reveal that So-won's blood was found on his clothes. Additionally, soil samples from the crime scene matched the soil on his shoes. In his defense, the man claims his shoes had been stolen and mysteriously reappeared outside his house just before the police arrested him. He accuses the police of framing him. Among those in the courtroom is So-won's father's friend, who becomes enraged by the man's lies. Unable to control his anger, he removes his own shoe, throws it at the man, and yells, "You should be ashamed to call yourself human." Chaos erupts in the courtroom as police intervene. On the other hand, when So-won's father goes to the hospital, he sees some people entertaining So-won by wearing cartoon costumes. And So-won is very happy with this. In fact, it is his wife, her friend, and a nurse from the hospital. All of this was arranged by the psychiatrist who had previously come to take a statement from So-won. His wife had called the psychiatrist again. So-won's mother had rented the costumes. When So-won's father goes to pay the rent for them, he asks how much the rent is for one costume for one day. The costume owner tells him that the rent for one day is $200, but So-won's father doesn't have that much money. He asks if he can pay for the costume in installments. Upon hearing this, the costume owner realizes that he doesn't have the money and, knowing about his situation, decides to help. He gives him one of Kokomong's costumes for free, saying that he can return it once his work is done. After this, So-won's father enters her room wearing the Kokomong costume, and So-won is overjoyed to see it. She immediately hugs Kokomong, her face lighting up with happiness. The next morning, the lady psychiatrist spends time talking with So-won. During their conversation, she gently tells So-won that her summer vacation is coming to an end, and the first day of school is near. She asks So-won if she wants to go back to school. So-won immediately refuses. She feels that all her friends must know about what happened to her, and the thought of facing them fills her with embarrassment. When the psychiatrist asks how she is feeling in the hospital, So-won opens up. She tells her that she feels guilty because her parents aren't able to go to work. She knows the hospital bills are piling up, and her parents are struggling to pay them. She doesn't want her parents to suffer because of her. So-won admits that she misses school a lot, but fears she may never be able to return. 2 days later, So-won is discharged from the hospital. Her mother and father arrive to pick her up, but So-won still avoids looking at her father. As they drive away in the car, So-won's father puts a curtain between them to make her feel less scared. As they drive past the location where the incident occurred, So-won's health begins to deteriorate again. Sensing her distress, So-won's father immediately speeds up the car, quickly driving past the spot to avoid triggering her further. When they reach home, So-won gets out of the car and immediately starts vomiting. But So-won and her mom then notice something that brightens the moment. On the wall of their shop, there are a lot of sweet, encouraging notes left by So-won's friends. Seeing these heartfelt messages, So-won's face lights up with happiness. The next morning, So-won's best friend, Jung-sook, comes to see So-won's dad. Overcome with guilt, he tearfully says that if he had gone to school with So-won that day, this terrible incident wouldn't have happened. He begins to cry uncontrollably. So-won's father gently consoles him, reassuring him that it was not his fault and that he shouldn't carry the burden of blame. So-won's friends send her a lot of greeting cards, which helps boost her confidence to return to school. The next morning, she goes to school with her aunt. However, So-won starts feeling uneasy due to her ostomy bag. She worries about what to say if her friends ask her about it since she doesn't have an answer. Moreover, she notices her friends looking at her strangely, making her feel even more uncomfortable. But just as she begins to feel overwhelmed, her dad appears, wearing the Kokomong costume. His presence lifts her spirits and gives her the confidence she needs. As the days pass, So-won's dad continues to follow her to school, always dressed in the Kokomong costume to make her feel less lonely. He also speaks to the school principal, requesting that So-won be kept a little away from the male teachers to ensure her comfort. To further ease So-won's anxiety, her dad buys her a waste bag and fills it with chocolates. This way, when her friends ask about her bag, she can confidently tell them that it's filled with treats. So-won's dad goes to great lengths to make sure she never feels embarrassed or out of place. The next day, when So-won is heading to school, her friends ask her what's in the bag around her waist. So-won confidently says that there are chocolates inside. She takes out some chocolates and shares them with her friends before continuing on her way to school with Jung-sook. Throughout the journey, So-won's dad, still in the Kokomong costume, keeps her entertained and reassures her that her friend is with her. However, So-won soon realizes that her dad is inside the costume. She repeatedly tries to talk to Kokomong, but the costume doesn't respond. Curious, So-won takes Kokomong to her mom's shop and asks her if Kokomong is actually her dad inside the costume. So-won's mom removes the mask, revealing her dad, who is drenched in sweat from the heat inside the suit. Seeing her dad in this condition, So-won gently goes to him and wipes the sweat from his face. In that moment, the emotional distance between So-won and her dad finally begins to close, and they reconnect. In the next scene, a police officer calls So-won's father to meet him and informs him that the case against the rapist is weakening. The officer explains that the rapist has claimed to be physically or mentally unstable. He has filed a petition based on these claims. This means that So-won will now have to testify in court. So-won's father knows that this is not the right path for his daughter. With no other options, So-won's father goes to the jail to meet the rapist. The man tells So-won's father that he is innocent, claiming that only an animal would commit such a crime. However, in the next breath, he proposes a compromise. He says that although he has no money right now, he will pay So-won's father as much as he wants once he is released from jail. So-won's father realizes from his words that the man remembers everything and is lying about his memory. The rapist then begins threatening So-won's father, saying that he will soon be out of jail and might repeat his actions. So-won's father is consumed with anger at the rapist's words, and, in a fit of rage, starts smashing the glass of the jail with a chair. In the next scene, we are shown the court where the rapist is presented once again. This time, So-won is also called to testify. She identifies the rapist and the court declares him guilty. However, despite the heinous crime, the rapist is only sentenced to 12 years in prison. This decision infuriates everyone present in the courtroom, and So-won's father, in a fit of rage, moves forward to kill the rapist. But as he begins to approach the rapist, So-won steps forward and grabs her father, pleading with him to go home. Her father, overcome with emotion, stops and hugs his daughter tightly. A few months later, we see So-won's mother has delivered a baby, and So-won now has a brother. She is very happy to see him, and everything seems to be returning to normal. However, beneath the surface, the reality is different. So-won often leaves school before the class ends, as she still hasn't been able to forget the traumatic incident. Despite this, the arrival of her brother has given her a renewed sense of hope and a reason to live. This story highlights the deep pain experienced by some individuals, a pain that lingers with them for a lifetime.